Alright, back with another video on the Minimus 5s. I recently completed the Wildcat phonograph project, and now I'm pretty happy to be getting back to the Minimus 5s. I really like these speakers, and I had to order another set to get enough parts because one of the tweeters was blown. Let me explain. This is interesting, but I'll get to that in a minute. Let me catch up to where I am right now, because I love these speakers and I can't wait to get them running. So I gutted the speakers, took them down to just the box, and took the horns off and gave them a thorough cleaning. They were really dusty. They had caked on dust that even running water through this piece of plastic, by the way, it's plastic, hard plastic. Even running water through the thing wouldn't get the dust off, so I had to get in there with a Q-tip and some pine saw cleaner and clean it. And I removed the dust covers. There were these little semi-spherical dust covers made out of a fabric right here, and they were pretty clogged up with dust. And I'm not a fan of dust covers anyway, really, so I removed them with an X-Acto knife. You know, I don't like dust covers. I know why you have a dust cover over a compression driver. That makes sense, especially for commercial applications when speakers are, you know, outside and exposed to the elements and that sort of thing. But this is not a compression driver at all. It's a cone. It's a paper cone that goes at the throat of the horn here, and there's no need to have a dust cover on there, at least not for my application. You know, I wouldn't watch a TV through a screen door. You know, I wouldn't want to do that, and why would I want to have any dust covers over top of speakers? Now, granted, this this isn't exactly audiophile grade stuff here, but nevertheless, I want to try to make these things sound as good as possible. So, cleaned the horns and cleaned the cones fairly thoroughly, the mid woofers, as thoroughly as I could without you know, being careful not to damage anything. And I'm in the process of reassembling. So what I had to do is, I know it looks like a mess, but it's actually not. These screws pull out of this cheap particle board, and they weren't tight anyway. They'd worked themselves free over the years. So I put the screws into new holes, and then I caulked around it. And this is just fantastic caulk. I mean, this is expensive caulk, but it's not just... Where is that stuff? I don't even know where I put it. It is... Oh, there it is. Let me show you what this is. If you ever need caulk, this is the stuff to use. And put the camera down. This is basically made for RVs. Could be for boats too, but there it is. ProFlex RV. This stuff can really stand up to the elements, and it dries quickly, it dries smoothly. You know, it is removable if you need to, but it's just fantastic stuff. I love it. It does have a bit of an odor to it, though. So that's plus the other function that caulk serves is it seals basically, the horn was just screwed on there, but there was probably air leaks, and I want to get this thing as sealed as possible to give that woofer the benefit. So there's no way that was sealed. There was no gasket, that sort of thing. Now it is. So the next step, I also went in. There were holes around the edges here, and I had to refill those with epoxy. Because the screws on the back were loose. And then I noticed that this back edge where the rear cover rest was not exactly even, not exactly level, so I took a X-Acto knife and just kind of scraped the high parts like that right there. I just noticed, kind of scraped the high parts, and now it's nice and smooth all the way around, just so that the rear cover has a nice level surface to rest on. And I'm going to use a as a sealant, because I want to be able to get that back cover off if I need to. So as a sealant, I'm going to use a version of plumber's putty, and I'll show you that when I get to it. But really good stuff. Really good stuff. So what I want to do tonight is, got a little high spot there. What the heck is that thing? What was a staple or something? It's not. Okay. Is to see if I can go ahead and mount that tweeter and get and then put the woofer. Actually, I would like to get everything done as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause, and I got the 2 new speakers in today for the parts. So one tweeter was blown, came in from eBay. Here's one of the new ones right here. Well, I'm hoping these things work. I don't care about the cabinets, by the way, as long as they're sealed. I'm not going to fix them aesthetically. So one tweeter was blown, and the other one, on my existing pair, the other one worked. Both woofers worked fine. But as I was removing the good tweeter from the throat of the horn, I did it wrong. I used a screwdriver and I kind of pushed it through there, and the dang screwdriver slipped and went right in and ripped the cone. So now I need 2 new tweeters, but I've got 2 new tweeters over there. And also during the process of doing some listening, I discovered that these speakers right here, the woofers that came out, on the back they say 65 hertz to 10 kilohertz, 8 ohms. These are actually, in and of themselves, pretty good full range drivers. So I'm going to have 2 extra ones. And I might make some kind of a just experiment with them to see what they sound like by themselves as full range drivers. In fact, I could do that right in these cabinets. So I might take the 2 new cabinets, the 2 new speakers, or the recently purchased speakers that I have, and seal up this top portion right here and just use this as a full range just to see what they sound like. So anyway, yeah, that's the goal for tonight. Looking forward to getting, at least trying to get one of these things running so I can give it a listen. Be the first time I've listened to it since I've sealed them and cleaned them up. And I'm not going to do any mods to the crossovers yet, although I think the woofer could stand to use a crossover. It has none right now. That might help clean up the mid-range a little bit. And I was thinking about, experimenting with second order crossovers for the tweeter and woofer and that sort of thing. And I may do that in the future, but for now I just want to get them running in stock form, just to give them a listen to see if I notice anything. So that's the goal. Next step is to remove the tweeters from the new speakers that I just received and go from there. So won't bore you with those details. I'll come back when I get something going here. Talk to you soon. Alright, in the process of, just washed, and I'm in the process of drying the woofer grills. Again, a little pine sol and water, and they're being dried off. Now, here is the tweeter. Mounted the new tweeter, tested it, works fine. Mounted the new tweeter on the existing horn, and I use as a gasket a tiny little bead of plumber's putty. You can kind of see it there. I'm going to peel that off a little bit. And I use plumber's putty as a gasket sometimes Now it's nowhere near touching, you know, anything critical, but I use it as a gasket sometimes because, depending on the application, and this is what I use, Stay Put. Because it's flexible, stretchable, and it will not harden, crumble, crack, or shrink. It's gas-proof, fume-proof, odor-proof, insect-proof, and watertight. Well, and essentially that's everything that you want a gasket to be. And it's removable as opposed to using caulk. And you put a little tiny bead on there, and then you screw it in, and it oozes out a little bit. I put the bead on the edge so it's nowhere near the cone, and it looks good. Now, here is what it looks like without the dust cap. You can finally look inside the horn and see something, as opposed to a big dome-shaped dust cap. So there it is. Tweeter's ready to go. I am drying the dust covers for the woofer. And when they're dried, I'm going to go ahead and put everything together, for this one speaker at least. For that one speaker, and give it a listen and compare it to my little reference full range. So looking forward to doing that. And oh yeah, there's my picture of my print of the Battersea power station. I ordered that on eBay, and that just came in. I need to put a thing on it to hang it, but that is my favorite building, let's say, for a lot of different reasons, but Europe's largest brick building, Battersea power station. I don't know why, I just love that. All the different pictures of it are cool, but I just love that looming structure, that type of architecture, and for a power station, it was actually, if you watch some videos of it, it was actually beautiful on the inside. It's amazing, amazing piece of industrial architecture. Absolutely amazing. And that picture there was taken in its decay when it was no longer being used, but in its prime, it was just remarkable. Love that building. Anyway, I gotta hang that. So I will wait for these to dry and start reassembling the woofer, then give it a listen and see how it sounds, and then start working on part 2, the other one. The other one, if this turns out to be good and sounds good and everything works, I'll show snippets of a little more detail about how I put the other one together, specifically what to do. Okay, talk to you in a bit. Okay, it's the next day from where I picked up, left off last night, and I went ahead and finished one of these speakers because I wanted to listen to it. And so I'm working on the second one right now, and went ahead and screwed in the horn and used my caulk all around it, which it desperately needs. And I pulled out the other tweeter, the new tweeter, and scraped a little bit, and I'm ready to mount it onto the horn. So it needs a gasket of some kind. They were using a glue. You can kind of see there was a glue. It's kind of tricky to get off, and I scraped it, and then this is where let's see if I can. My light came off. This is where the dust cover was that I sort of went around with an X-Acto knife and pulled off, and hope that makes a big difference. I think it will. So ready to use this plumber putty that I usually use for if I need some kind of a gasket, because this needs a gasket. I don't have any sort of I suppose I could use a piece of cardboard. Real firm, thin piece of cardboard would work, but I don't feel like cutting it into that shape. And the plumber's putty works just fine. It makes a good seal, and then it fills in the unevenness. The unevenness between the interface, and it makes a good enough airtight seal. Fills in the gaps perfectly. It's very flexible. So I'm going to go ahead and put a bead of that around there. I don't have my tripod today. I'm using it for my new camera that I bought. So I'm going to go ahead and hit pause and do that and show you the result and go from there. Okay, so this is what the bead looks like, and I put it around the outer edge so that when the tweeter goes on there and I screw it down and it squeezes it tight, it'll ooze towards the inside and the outside. I don't want any to ooze into the where the speaker is itself. It doesn't matter if it oozes on the outside because you just pull it right off. So there are 3 holes, and I'm going to go ahead and have to put the camera down for this and lay this on there and match up the holes. Okay. So that's laid down on there. I'm going to get the screws started and go ahead and get that screwed in, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I thought I was recording a few minutes ago. I guess I wasn't recording. I thought it was gosh. Well, anyway, I was putting the speaker together, and I thought I was recording the whole time, and I guess I wasn't. So as I built the speaker, this is the second one, and now they're both finished. Let's give them a little listen through the Sonos. Let's see. I was just explaining to a camera that wasn't recording that I'm going to take these Minimus 5s out to the other room and set them up properly and give them a listen from the tube amplifier, which will be a little more telling. Yellow is positive. But for now, let's just give them a quick preliminary test through the using the Sonos as the source and using this Class D switching amplifier to amplify, just to get a quick idea what they sound like. Okay, they're hooked up. There they are. They are both finished, sealed, and ready to go. Let's try a little, wow. Little They Might Be Giants. How's that? I think the song has some good bass. Oh, I gotta change my settings here. Okay, balance middle. Okay. You're driving anyway. There's a thermostat that regulates the temperature that might not be reliable, that should be disconnected. Turn it up, turn it down. Sound good. Turn it up when the call brings you down. Actually, let me hook up my better mic. This isn't my good mic. This is my better mic right here. You hit pause and do that. Okay, I have my good mic set up, so hopefully it's somewhat of an accurate. As I was just singing, as I was just singing.
and I was just sitting.
Sounds really good.
Turn it up, turn it down. Turn it up when the cold brings you down. When the heat bothers you, turn it down. Turn it up, turn it down. Turn it up, turn it down. Turn it up when the cold brings you down. When the heat bothers you, turn it down. Turn it up, turn it down.
Oh, yeah, it sounds really, really good. Let's see. Try another song off the same album.
In my prison cell, I think these words. I was careless, I can see that now. I must be silent, must contain the secret smile I want to tell you. You, my mirror, you, my iron bars. When I made a shadow on my window shade, they called the police and testified. But they left the people chained up in a cave. In the allegory of the people in the cave by the creek, I no one understands.
See, now I want to hear all their stuff.
Grow the nanobots, sow them in the cracks, roll them in the cracks in the sidewalk. Wind the nanobots up, wind them up and ask them a question. Raise the yellow bots up, raise them up and make them respect us. Wind the merchant bots up, wind them up and wish them away. What with all the hullabaloo, we very nearly forgot about you. Now all the old troubles will soon be at an end, and all the new ones will begin.
Yeah, see, once I started listening to a band, I just can't stop, pry myself away. They have so many great songs. So the speakers sound really, really good. I'm not disappointed at all. These are, geez, these are keepers. You know, I think I'm going to leave them alone because I think the purpose of actually buying these and building them was just because I remembered them as a kid growing up, and because of that, I don't think I want to modify them or trying to make them any better. I think I'm going to keep them as they are. Yeah, I just want to leave them as they are. Pick something from the first album. This is They Might Be Giants, by the way. It's always good to listen to them because I don't think they throw a conniption fit on YouTube and try to get your videos silenced. They're pretty cool about it. Great band.
I met someone at the dog show. She was holding my left arm, but everyone was acting normal, so I tried to look nonchalant.
Vocals are perfect.
Both said I really love you. The Shriners loaned us cars. We raced up and down the sidewalk 20,000 million times. Why did they send her over anyone else? How should I react? These things happen to other people. They don't start. I've got a weak heart and I don't get around. How you get around? When you are alone, you are the cat, you are the phone, you are an animal. The words I'm singing now mean nothing more than me out to an animal.
Just bounce around.
The color of infinity inside an empty glass. I'm squinting my eye and turning off and on and on and off the light. It's for this experimental film which nobody knows about and which I'm still figuring out what's going to go in my experiment.
Great. Okay.
The color of infinity inside an empty glass. I'm squinting my eye and turning off and on and on and off the light. It's for this experimental film which nobody knows about and which I'm still figuring.
Exquisite Dead Guy. This is a great song. I love this song.
Exquisite dead guy, rotating in his display case. Exquisite dead guy, swear I saw his mouth move. Exquisite dead guy.
So let me be the first person in history to demonstrate speakers using They Might Be Giants songs. That's great. So anyway, I'm going to call it quits for now until I get these things set up in the other room and with the tube amplifier on them. But I love them. They're exactly as I remember. They're exactly like I remember them. They sound great. I like their looks. They're like an inexpensive, cheap little Altec looking, JBL looking, almost commercial look speaker. Vocals are fantastic. High frequencies are they're great. These speakers are a bit on the bright side if you had to describe them. They don't have deep bass. The bass that they do have, I'd estimate they go down to about 60 hertz, probably 65. The bass that they do have, it's not peaky. It is tight and accurate. Mid bass is warm. Everything is across the board. These are really good. The only deficit might be the deep bass, but you don't need that all the time. They're non-fatiguing, although when I listen more with the tube amp, I'll get into that. But I think for getting a pair used, if they work on eBay, they typically run about $40 a pair, $35 a pair. It's the best $35 you ever spend on a speaker, I swear. Unless you get some crazy bargain, but just in terms of a speaker that should cost $35 a pair used, I wouldn't go with anything but these. These are fantastic. A little big, like if you wanted computer speakers, these are a little big to sit on your desk, but just as a bookshelf speaker, just wonderful. Love it, and I love the looks. I like the distressed wood on the used ones. I think it's great. They're gonna look great sitting on the bookshelf. I'm keeping them. So I'll come back with another video when I get these hooked up to the good system, and I'll get my even better mic out to give you. And I'd like to have these backed up like on a bookshelf, like backed up to close to a wall behind it, which of course will reinforce the bass even more. I think they need that. Right now there's nothing but space behind them. Most speakers need that. They're designed that way to get that boost from the corner of a room or from a wall right behind it. And I'm not using them that way right now, so they're going to sound even better, I'm sure. But love them. Get back to you soon.